That's great. That's great. Okay, so let's move on to the second section. The second section would be how we take our passions. Okay, my number four question would be one taking action when you facing some kind of challenge, and how did you overcome them?
I guess it's the constant struggle to a degree, right? It's a challenge. And what came to mind when you said that, like how do you overcome struggles, um, is something that I try to use every day as well, which is called the Serenity Sermon,
Mhm.
which is basically um, the I think it goes something like, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Mhm.
And that is something that I try to always live by. And I think that's also at the same time a constant challenge, is really to tell the difference. Because it's so powerful to be able to change what you can and be the change, right? Like Gandhi would say, be the change that you want to see in the world. But at the same time, there are things that you just need to embrace and accept that you cannot change, and you need to let them go, right? And that serenity to and that wisdom is something that I strive for every day.
Mhm.
And on a more, I think, pragmatic and um, um, tactical level, lean startup to me has become a life philosophy and extremely helpful, because I'm a perfectionist. I call it a recovering perfectionist. But it's interesting. The Serenity Prayer or the Serenity Sermon, I realized, is actually used and became widely known because it's used in the Alcoholic Anonymous program. It's part of the 12 Steps program or something. And with perfectionism, I think it's the same. You always are a perfectionist. You never stop being a perfectionist, even though I consider myself a recovering perfectionist. And why am I saying that? Because lean startup is very much about, don't worry, be scrappy, right? Try and learn as much as possible with the least possible resources available, and get the maximum what is called validated learning out of experiments that you run with a lot of empathy, to gather evidence to see, okay, what does work and what is worth pursuing. And I have been using that in a business context, but also more and more on a personal life context, to really overcome challenges, to try and break them down, to deconstruct them into experiments and run those experiments to find what I can change, and also what feels good working on and doing.
Okay, that's amazing. So because now I'm listening and learning from you now right now. So because I do believe that for the viewer and the audience who are watching the Passion Talk, they also will have a lot of fruitful informations and the message they will get. Yeah, that is the first one of the first idea, and the second idea is how to use it, right? So
Mhm.
that's really important to let them practice and also get the inspiration from you. The first one is the Agikais, and also now the second one is the lean model, right? So those are the
Lean startup.
lean startup model. Those are really useful for the entrepreneur. So they can start also practicing the kind of
Mhm.
models and the framework. Yeah, those are really useful for the listener. Thank you, Oliver, for sharing this one.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And my next question, the question number five would be the how passion impact or change your life along with your life journey and your career journey.
I think it's passion is a beautiful thing, and a quote, as you know, I love quotes. A quote that comes to mind is actually by Ice-T, the rapper. He said, "Passion makes the world go round. Love just makes it a safer place."
Mhm.
And for me, passion, when I'm passionate about something, I get into this flow state, and I forget sometimes to eat. I forget to I'm so on fire literally that it can become dangerous to a degree, because it's so important to stay in balance, right? To recover as well. I always like to say it's a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And yes, there are sprints, but you cannot sprint the distance of a marathon. That is not sustainable.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was one thing that I really had to realize, especially when I was working in corporate, that you cannot just only go. You need recovery. You need times of rest as well. And so, especially when you're passionate about something, then it's difficult because you tend to forget that, at least in my case. And so, to actually realize and practice more mindfulness and practice daily meditation and manifestation was one thing that made a difference. That was a big change in my life, especially after the corporate life, and also stopping to smoke. You may remember I was a fairly heavy smoker for what feels like too long. So no more nicotine, but also way less caffeine, so way less coffee. Not saying that coffee is bad if used well, but like anything it's the dose that makes the poison. So in moderation, and also sugar. I used to drink Coca-Cola, coffee, tons of throughout the day, smoke. So no more. And that has helped me be more with myself, more in tune with myself, and actually me be more mindful and I think more effective and even more on purpose pursuing my passions. So kind of in a way, slowing down has allowed me to take an even bigger leap.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great one. So my next question would be relate to that the prior the question is like, so what role that your passion play in your life success? Because I also believe that success means everyone has a different definition. I mean, your own success, your own definition of success.
I couldn't agree more, Ken. It's really, I am of the same opinion. The key is to define what success means to you first and foremost. And I think it's a very individual concept. To me, success is basically freedom and impact. And ideally, those two influence each other to a net positive degree, meaning the more freedom I have, the more impact I can make. And the more impact I generate, the more freedom it gives me to generate even more impact. And I think then it's really, that is my definition of success, to be able to choose how I spend my time, who I work with, on which projects I work with, to contribute to things that I believe make sense to me, that are on purpose for me, that correspond to my ikigai. And as long as I'm able and capable of doing that, then that is success to me. And then that is a fulfilled life and a happy life to me.
Great answer. Yeah, I love it. Okay, let's move on the last section, which would be how to sustain our passions. Okay, my question number 7 would be, what motivates you to start and restart again and again with your main focus?
You mean when something doesn't work out like you have intended it?
Yeah, because so the first thing is like we have a good motivation to start, and then sometimes we lost our motivations.
Okay.
So there can be some kind of different direction. So not to be like that. So we just want to stay on track, yeah, to pursue the same goal that we want to achieve. Yeah, that's what is how to focus and how to
Okay.
find.
Yeah. I think to a very large degree, it's being clear about your purpose and knowing what your main passions are. And that is what really helps me kind of remembering that. That's one thing. When the going gets tough, and it always gets tough, it's never just sunshine and rainbows, right?
Yeah.
To remember two things: why you're doing what you're doing, and to be clear about that, and maybe also challenge that and kind of fine tune it, or maybe change it to a degree that may also evolve. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, nevertheless, remember how much you have to be grateful for, and really to have this attitude of gratitude on the one hand side, but to strive for pursuing what you're passionate about and what you see as your purpose, I think the balance between those two is what helps me tremendously when it's not sunshine and rainbows to dance in the rain.
Sure. Okay. So yeah. Speaking of that kind of motivation, so the next question would be how to build a habit with the consistency. So motivation, as I mentioned, that
Mhm.
motivation that can spark your fire, right? But to make it consistency, how to make it habit, yeah, to your success goal.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a challenging one because to me, there really the keyword is consistency.
Yeah.
I have many times tried things and then kind of let go again and then started again. What has made the difference was really, as James Clear in Atomic Habits describes it, to build those systems so that you actually don't really need the motivation or discipline to a degree. You just build it into your lifestyle. So what I like to call lifestyle design, or LSD, has been something really helpful for me to just structure my days, weeks, months, and years in a way that I I have set myself up with systems that I don't need that much discipline anymore. It's like second nature. It's like brushing your teeth, right? And typically things like a morning routine, which I always keep iterating and experimenting with, but there are key elements that stay the same, which is typically meditating for 15 minutes, um, uh, having a balance between, physical exercise, working out, but also for instance, I have a walking pad here in my office. Usually I would be like this now because
Okay.
I
So
like to take
I,
standing meetings are great, but walking meetings are even better.
yeah.
And of course, it's best to be outside, but when you can't, like, just this kind of um, tweak into your lifestyle and your surroundings helps me tremendously. And on the other hand, also, I think it's really um, it strengthens the more like after 30 days or so, it's much more difficult to then stop again, right? So once you have gotten over that initial resistance and then you try out and once you get to a level of 30 days more or less of practicing something consistently, it's much easier to keep going. And also it's okay to, maybe not do every day because life happens, right? John Lennon said life is what's happening while we're busy making other plans. So I always try to account for life happening and give myself grace when I'm not meditating every day, but I try to not allow myself 2 days in a row of slacking off, of not sticking with my routine, because then it becomes more difficult to pick it up again. So either I miss one day, I go back on it right away, or if I realize, okay, I'm missing more consistently, then I try to redesign the system for that not to happen. Or I realize, okay, maybe I need to change something more profoundly because it's deeper than just a routine.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. And also that, yeah, and that is walkable. Yeah. That's
Mhm.
great. So, last but not least, my last question would be, do you have any suggestions for the entrepreneurs who are pursuing their dream?
Uh, yeah, how long do we have? I have a
Just
few.
1 minute.
Just kidding, just kidding. Okay. Well, I guess one thing is really just go for it. Especially for a perfectionist like me, it's always like, oh, I'm not ready. I have this idea, but I'm not sure, or I lack, I don't know, the resources, or I lack the training, or I lack whatever. Nevertheless, just do it. I think it's really easy to fall into this analysis paralysis. That's the other thing, and to actually succumb to your fears, right? And there's no better way than to work through that by just getting started. And to me, what helps is really breaking it down when you have like this big vision, this giant goal, to break it down into actually way smaller, more actionable steps that you can then do daily. And that is one thing. And the other thing is, I like to call it set it and forget it. Um, have a clear vision, have this ambition, but then also don't obsess about it. Not all who wander are lost, right? So give yourself grace. Um, don't obsess about whatever it is that you set as a goal. So it's really about you either win or you learn, right? You fall down, you get back up, you fall down, you get back up. And I think with a learning mindset of I can't lose, I'm always winning or learning, then it works. So look before you leap, but then screw it and just do it and take that leap.
Yeah. Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. It's really fruitful for every entrepreneurs and the one who are pursuing their dreams. So thank you. Thank you, Oliver. So we really appreciate your sharing your time. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So see you soon.